How did your father treat women? My father made all the women in our house ask permission for every action because he said men were born with authority and women were born to obey. It started when I was 10 after mom answered the phone without asking. Dad slammed her against the wall and announced new rules that every woman needed his approval for everything. My older brother Tracy watched from the couch, still playing his video game. That first night, I reached for my fork at dinner and Dad grabbed my wrist hard enough to bruise. Did you ask? He demanded. I had to request permission to eat while Tracy helped himself to seconds without a word. My younger brother Ryan actually laughed when mom had to ask to stand up from the table. The rules expanded daily, but only for us. We needed permission to use the bathroom, get dressed, or speak when spoken to. My brothers came and went freely, ate when hungry, and talked whenever they wanted. Tracy would walk to the fridge and grab whatever he wanted while I stood there for 20 minutes begging for a glass of water. Ryan learned to exploit it fast and would eat cookies in front of me while I waited for Dad to approve my request for one cracker. Girls don't need much food anyway, Dad would say, denying most requests while telling my brothers they needed to bulk up. I couldn't even function normally at school because I knew my brothers would report everything I did back to Dad. When I used the bathroom during math class, Ryan saw me in the hallway. That night, Dad made me stand in the corner for 6 hours with my arms above my head while my brothers played Xbox on the couch. Every time my arms dropped, he added another hour. Tracy actually paused his game to watch me struggle. This is what happens to women who forget their place, Dad told him. Remember this when you have a wife. Mom tried getting help during an approved grocery trip, but Dad had poisoned the whole town against us. When the cashier handed Dad the note she'd slipped him, he shaved Mom's head that night as punishment. My brother sat at the kitchen table doing homework while Dad ran the clippers over her scalp. Your mom thought she could make decisions without me, he explained to them. But women's brains aren't built for thinking. Ryan asked if he could help shave her, and Dad actually let him do the back of her head. My sister climbed out her window one night, but alarms went off. Dad dragged her back and locked her in the basement for 3 days with no food. During those 3 days, he made me and Mom serve elaborate meals to my brothers, explaining this was our natural purpose. Tracy started calling us the servants, and Dad never corrected him. Ryan would deliberately make messes for us to clean without permission, then report us for unauthorized movement. The punishments got creative, and my brothers often helped decide them. Speaking without permission meant duct tape over our mouths for days. Tracy suggested the oven mitts taped to my hands when I scratched without asking. For a week, I couldn't do anything myself and had to beg Dad or my brothers to feed me. Ryan thought it was hilarious to pretend he couldn't hear my requests. Even Tracy started looking uncomfortable when I cried from hunger, but he never spoke up. My younger brother became Dad's enforcer, monitoring us for violations and reporting everything. He'd document when Mom's hands shook without permission or when my sister blinked too many times. Dad paid him $5 for every infraction he caught. Ryan bought video games with the money he earned from our suffering. Tracy at least had the decency to avoid eye contact during punishments, but Ryan would pull up a chair to watch. I tried faking sick once to get to a hospital and ask for help there. Dad tested if I was faking by holding a lighter to my arm while my brothers watched, saying if I was really sick, I'd be too weak to react. Good lesson for you boys, he said as my skin burned. Women lie about pain for attention. Tracy left the room, but Ryan stayed, fascinated. Later, Dad gave him his own lighter to test us whenever he suspected we were faking. Then came the shock collars that delivered pain for unauthorized actions. Dad gave both my brothers controller apps on their phones. You're men now, he told them. Time to learn how to manage women. Tracy deleted the app after using it once and seeing my sister convulse, but Ryan kept his, shocking us for fun when Dad wasn't even around. He'd wait until we were carrying something heavy, then shock us to watch us drop. Then Ryan was bragging to his friend about our shock collars, and the friend got uncomfortable. The friend's mom called our house asking questions. Dad was furious we'd been discussed with outsiders and blamed us for Ryan's loose lips. As punishment, he announced we'd be moving to the basement permanently. My brothers would keep our bedrooms while we moved into what he'd been building down there. He sent me down to see our new accommodations. 3 small cages bolted to concrete with feeding tubes and waste systems meant no more asking permission when we couldn't move at all. The electronic locks would arrive tomorrow. Ryan will be in charge of your feeding schedule, Dad said. Good practice for when he has his own wife. My 12-year-old brother would control whether we lived or died. I stared at the 3 metal cages bolted to the concrete floor while Dad walked around them explaining the feeding schedule to Ryan. Each cage had a small door with a slot for the electronic lock and tubes running from the ceiling for water and food. My hands shook as I memorized every detail of the basement layout, counting the steps to the stairs and noting the small window near the ceiling. Dad showed Ryan how the feeding system worked by pouring water into a funnel that connected to the tubes. Ryan asked if he could control how much food we got each day, and Dad said that was the whole point of teaching him responsibility. The cages were barely big enough to sit up in, and I could see scratch marks on the metal where someone had tested them. Dad explained that the waste system meant we'd never need to leave the cages at all once the locks arrived tomorrow. Ryan practiced using the remote control Dad had rigged up for testing, and the cage doors clicked open and shut. I watched Ryan's face light up with excitement as Dad let him hold the remote and test it again. The basement felt colder than usual, and I noticed Mom and my sister hadn't been brought down to see this yet. Dad told me to go back upstairs and help Mom make dinner